Hello and welcome to my course where I teach you how to draw in bite-sized lessons. I'll leave a link up over here if you want to get to the start of the course. Today we're going to chat about blocking in. Often when you're drawing you need to block in an area with a solid tonal value, and there are different ways of doing that, and each has their own different time when you'd want to use that. So I want to show you those three different methods today. The first method, and the most obvious method, is just using your pencil to block in an area. So when you do that, you don't want to use a sharp point pencil. You don't want to use a point that looks like this, because to get a nice even blocked in area, you need your strokes to overlap each other. So that little tip over there is really difficult to get to overlap. So what you want to use is your chisel point, because your chisel point is nice and broad, so you're automatically drawing a nice broad area, and that's instantly going to help you with overlapping your strokes. So let's do that. Now you can get different types of tonal values with overlapping and with a pencil like this, and you can obviously give it multiple layers as well to go darker and darker, and you can use different pencils. So for example over here I'm using my 9XB, but I'm not pressing hard whatsoever. I'm just letting the strokes overlap each other. Okay, and here I've got a 4H. So when you do this, just go nice and slow and gradual. That's the key to getting a nice even blocking in using your pencil without doing any blending or anything like that. Alright, so I'm going to just do one more area, also just blocked in like this. So let's go back to the 9XB because he's now easier to see. So I do want to show you something else. So nice gradual overlapping strokes. When you're blending like this, blocking in, don't rush. Take your time, because if you rush, then what happens is you do this, then you get those big gaps, and that's when you battle to fill them back up again. So you've got to have each stroke nicely overlapping each other. Alright, so to get an area really dark, then you have to press really hard, and then what happens is you end up getting this kind of effect over here. So to get in nice solid, you want to go in all sorts of different directions so that it really gets in the tooth of the paper. So there's better ways of getting really dark areas. The best time to use this is when you have just small little areas to block in. For example, let's go to this drawing over here. This roof over here is just a small little area that you need blocked in. Then the other techniques don't work as well for that. So here, just a nice even steady pressure gets that guy blocked in for you using your pencil. And depending on the type of pencil you use, you can get different tonal values. And you can also go darker on this guy by blocking it in. You'll see even here, even though you've blocked it in, it's not perfectly smooth, because when you're blocking in, it's still adhering to the little peaks in the texture of your paper. So it's not perfectly smooth. So then you can use a blending stump or a little eyeshadow sponge like this, and you can smooth it out. The only problem you have with this is, as you can see, it darkens up as you blend using the sponge. You can use your finger as well, but I'm not a big fan of that, simply because it your hands have got like a natural oil to them, and that goes into the paper, and then after that you can't really draw over that. It leaves a mark. Right, so that's the one way of blocking in, the traditional way. The next way of blocking in is take yourself a scrap piece of paper, and then any pencil. I usually use a darker pencil like a 6 or an 8B. Like over here I have this is an 8B graphite stick. So you use this, and then you scratch it over some scrap piece of paper. until this paper is nice and full. As you can see, I've got it perfectly covered. Then you take an old cloth, just a piece of t-shirting material. So this is just a sleeve from a kid's t-shirt. So take this, and you can see he's really dirty, he's been well used. And then you take that and you pick up some of that graphite like this. Now you can use this to block in areas. So this technique works really great for lighter tonal values and large areas. Can you see how quickly it blocks in a large area of your drawing paper? And you can go and pick up more graphite dust like this, and you can add as many layers as you want. The more layers you add, the darker the area is going to become. Now the advantage of using this is you can go super light, and you can even add little bits of shading if necessary. So I'll just add that little area there, super light, little shading. We'll leave that neat paper. Can you see the difference? And you've got all your tonal values in between. Let's maybe add a little bit more over here. So you can even do a little bits of shadings using your cloth. But in general, you can block in, as you can see, lots of different tonal values using the cloth. So that's one advantage. And then the second advantage is, once you've blocked in like this with a pencil, it's not so easy to erase. But using this, you can erase, and you can erase all the way back to white paper if necessary. Right, so using this method is good for large areas, like the sky on this drawing over here. And it's also good for areas like this, when you need large areas blocked in, but with different tonal values. Alrighty, and then the third method I've got is, let's go back to our little scrap piece of paper, and that's to use your graphite dust. So depending on the grade of dust that you're using, it's also going to depend on what kind of tonal value you got. I've got an 8B here because I usually use this for really dark backgrounds. Then you use makeup sponges like this. So if you've got just a small area to fill in, you can use the pointed tip like that. Or if you've got a larger area, then you can use the back of that. So I quite like these ones lately because they've got a little grip area over here like this. So what you do is you just tap your sponge into the graphite dust like this. So the sponge is now picking up a lot of this dust. Now you can use the sponge to block in an area. And as with the cloth, you can go over an area multiple times to get different tonal values. The more you go over, the more of the weave of the paper you're covering up, and the darker you go. If you need to go lighter, like here I've got lots of dust inside here at the moment, so I can just tap it onto my scrap piece of paper, and you can see all those little extra bits of graphite dust just jumping out. And you can also take a scrap piece of paper, put him down, and first just test to see what tonal value are you going to get before you start drawing on your actual paper itself. Once you're happy, then you can go over to your drawing and get a lighter tonal value. So the advantage of this guy is you can literally get all the way to black by using, say, an 8B graphite dust. Look at this. You get all the way to black, and you can get perfectly smooth shading or flat blocked in areas. There's no change in tonal value there whatsoever. You could never do that by using a pencil. Or even using your cloth. You can see your cloth still shows up a bit of the weave of the paper, but with this guy you can cover up the weave of that paper with graphite completely. So just as a last little example, that's going to give you, we're using your sponge, and that there's a drawing with the background that I filled in with a pencil, and I try to get that as smooth as I can, and you can see, and it's like these two are on identical papers. You can see I'm still getting quite a bit of weave of the paper shining through over there, where there I've got nothing whatsoever. Okay, so there's your 3 ways. You've got to use your pencil. When you do use your pencil, always use your chisel point. The next method is to use your cloth, and the third method is to use graphite dust and a makeup sponge. So I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. In the next lesson I want to show you how to make your own blending stump, because after this we're going to be doing quite a bit of blending work. So I'm going to leave a link to that video right here for you. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.